Hi, welcome back to Future Stock Technologies. It's Gina Joe this side. In today's video, we are going to discuss more about robotics in education. What is robotics for kids and how to introduce robotics for kids and what's the benefit of introducing robotics for school students. Let's discuss the things one by one. The first and foremost, robotics is an essential STEM skill. STEM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering and mathematics. And nowadays, as we know, the parents and teachers, they are finding a lot of interesting and better ways to introduce these subjects for kids. And robotics is one of the interesting and most important way to introduce these subjects in an easy and better way. Robotics education can help the kids from age 6 to learn more about coding and the technology, and they will be more attached to the technology from the younger age, and it is teaching the essential problem solving skill. That's a lifelong investment for kids. Now let us discuss about the benefits of teaching robotics for school kids. The first and foremost thing is teaching robotics is entirely changing their attitude, the way they are looking at the world. So when the kids are learning robotics at their younger age, like their perspective on looking the things will get changed totally. They like to see the world and they like to know how the things working beyond that, like how the stuffs work. They like to see like the machines and they will think that how it's working, how can I create something similar to this. So this all curiosity and creativity can enhance when they are learning robotics. That's a very essential skill and that's very important too. Now the second important point is learning robotics or robotics in education will discover new passions on them, right? Maybe we have we already have seen that as an experienced teacher. I have seen that in many times most of the kids are they're struggling with the subjects like maths and science. They literally don't like that subject because by having the myth that they are very tough and they can't grasp it, a lot of things are there behind the scene, right? So when we are teaching the subject like robotics, they will be able to understand what's the purpose of learning maths and how they can apply those things which they already studied in schools to the real life. That skills, that things are giving a different person. Now the second thing is robotics in education will enhance them to discover their own passion. Maybe we have seen that a lot of students are struggling or they are not much interested in the subjects like maths and science because they are not able to relate a lot of theories what they already learned in school with the real life, right? But instead of that, instead of teaching a lot of theory in the class and making a lot of tests and assessment, instead of that what we are going to do, we are going to introduce something practical. So if we are introducing this robots with some robotic kit, if we are giving to them and with a lot of sensors and motors, and it's all working based on some principles, right? So they like to learn what is that really happening behind the scene. That's an important skill, and students will be finding their intuition in engineering, and they can find some things and they can apply that and they can solve the problems of the real world. Now the third important thing is that robotics will teach programming in an interesting and funny way to kids. Yeah, how this robotics can help them in learning coding in a better way. The reason is that if you are teaching the coding like in the conventional and the traditional way, like we'll teach the concepts and we'll ask them to write the programs in the console and they are writing some programs and they are getting the output in the console or the computer. That's not exciting them, is it? Yes. So what here we are doing, like they are programming their own robot, even though if the robot want to take a single step forward or if they want to move backward or turning, for all this the kid has to give some instruction to the robot in the programming language. It can be either block coding or the text coding. So here we'll be teaching both the block coding, that's for the beginners if they don't want to get into the complex structure of the text coding like Python or C++. For them we have this block coding, or if the kids are matured enough and they know the stuffs in text coding, they can directly start coding the robot with text coding, like especially Python and C++ will be using here, right? Yeah, so that's already there, and I just want to add some points to that. Instead of the conventional method, instead of writing the program and seeing the output in the computer, instead of that, if you're asking the kid to program their own robot to make some actions, right? So they will be more excited and they like to do that work. And even if they are making any mistake in the code, they can see the output at that moment itself because they are already working with the physical robots, isn't it? Yes. That's very interesting for them, and they like to learn it, and they will be knowing the limitation of the coding and how they want to improve their coding if they want to make better robots. So automatically they like to learn more concepts in coding. They know what is the do's and don'ts in coding and what's the different syntaxes, and obviously the syntax error they can correct in the screen itself, but they like to change their logic. Maybe most of the time the syntax is correct, the program is correct, but we are not expecting the right result, right, because of some logical error. So they will be creating something their own. So they like to think with some more logic, and they like to implement all those things, and they really find that okay, their knowledge in coding is limited to make some better robots. So obviously they will come to us and will be asking more concepts in coding to make the perfect robots. Now the fourth important point is teaching robotics or robotics in education increase their self-confidence. They like to do something their own. They are making their own robot which is walking, talking, dancing, whatever, right? And they are making a lot of projects using electronics and the different components and using programming. So that enhances their self-confidence. So they like to do something, they like to solve the real life problems, and they will analyze their surroundings. They like to find some solution to the problem which is going around them. It enhances their thinking level, and it can give some more confidence to them. They already made something and it's working, and now they will be thinking that how this device which they already made can be converted to solve somebody's problem. That is an essential and important skill nowadays. Nowadays we know, like, we are living in a tech savvy world. Everywhere is technology, it's overloaded. We are using like we are living in the smart homes, and there is a lot of interconnected devices are around us, and lot of softwares and gadgets, like everywhere and every day we are seeing all these things, right? So that's the future. So I recently heard something like in the next 1 decade 1 million jobs are going to replace by the robots. Now we need to make our kids fit for the next generation. It's not about thinking okay, people will be losing the job. It's not like that. We have to create, we have to think that how to create more jobs in robotics, coding, in these areas, right? Especially, like, this is a good thing, like if the robots are coming and it's replacing a lot of manpower which is wasting in unwanted task or the repetitive task. Instead of that, those manpower we can convert into something creative and constructive work. For that, this robotics and coding definitely will help them. So it's better to give this perspective in the education in the beginner stage itself. It's not mean to say like somebody who learned robotics like in the younger age they will become a robotic engineer. It's not like that. These things they have to apply in all the different fields. Now if the person suppose he is a doctor, still he need to use a lot of softwares and technology in his job. So already if they learn the skills in this younger age or the childhood, even if you want to become a doctor or farmer or whatever, like in the future, they like to apply all this technology what they learn in their own. So we will get a lot of advancements in all this emerging field. It's emphasize kids development, and apart from that we are offering some better things for the future. So in this course we will be teaching you more about programming, then we will teach you the basic electronics which is essential for robotics. Electronics in the sense what are the different sensors and the motors and the different components used in constructing the robot, and how to program them and how to make the complete electrical or the electronic circuit. So students will be more familiar to work with the mechanical and electrical system, and they will understand the theory of electricity and how this electricity can power up their robot.